Not very long ago, I posted a few videos covering Vintage Story on my channel, just briefly explaining why this game can simply go from a very difficult game to grasp your mind around as far as learning goes, and all the way to one of the coziest games you'll play today. And I know those two statements are pretty difficult to puzzle together, trust me, I understand fully, but I promise you, oddly enough, it somehow works with Vintage Story. Over the time, this game truly goes from being so mean and brutal towards you to something extremely satisfying and cozy to play. But that's only once you learn how the game works, of course. Also, on top of that, I will not sugarcoat. Believe me, this game has been the most difficult game to overcome and learn at its initial stages. I've played a lot of survival games on my journey here, and this game was just something I wanted to toss against the wall and yell at simply out of frustration. And it's not like the game purposely does that to the player, just to do it. No, in fact, Vintage Story provides everything it can to make your experience worth trying for. When you pick this game up for the first time, you will have to learn this game. Vintage Story doesn't care if you play Minecraft or DayZ or Subnautica before this. It doesn't. You will have to learn it. I can guarantee you that you have never played a game that puts you in the shoes of a caveman and leaves you absolutely with nothing. This game leaves no room for conversations. You may have watched a few tutorial videos on the internet trying your best to be patient with it. Here's what will happen. You will beat the game numerous times. You will probably restart your world a dozen more. You will pull up your survival guide and figure out a way to craft your first campfire or a cheap wooden door to keep you safe throughout the night. Then you will leave the game, come back to the Vintage Story the next morning just to realize that everything you learned, you just forgot about. And you'll be put in that situation so many different times with so many different items until it truly registers in your mind and becomes a second nature. It's only a matter of time until it will happen. We all had to go through it, I promise you. You will have to basically crawl until you can walk on your feet. It's just the name of the game. Let's discuss different modes that you can choose from, and most importantly, just figure out which fits best for you and your playstyle. For me personally, I turn off basically everything in the game and keep it solely survival based. No traders, no paranormal storms and portals, no signs of previous life forms on the planet before your arrival, just simple survival. Obviously, if you want to have the full Vintage Story experience, you're gonna have to keep everything turned on, especially with them working on the next huge update and story expansion for this game, as well as just new mechanics, and it will soon take place. I mean, this game is about to change in a big way. As a side note, if you do want to have everything turned on and still have pretty easy, I suggest trying Adventure Mode preset that's already in the game. It will eliminate major hardcore elements in the game and provide just enough for you to kind of have the taste of what Vintage Story can be without feeling too overwhelming for the player. For example, there's a system in the game where if you dig dirt and it's either on the hill or appears to be the weakest part on the ground, everything will collapse and roll down the hill. Why is it dangerous? Well, if you are building a cave home and you are simply just digging until there's no tomorrow, be very careful because it will collapse and it will kill you. And it's simply just one of the features of the game that really catches you off guard and keeps you on your toes at all times. On the performance side of things, I'm currently running on RTX 3070 Ti and I have to keep everything at high settings, so not ultra high. Anything above high settings, at that point I just noticed my frames go down a lot and my rig just cannot handle that with higher FPS. However, I will be getting 4080 Super here very soon and I cannot wait to try this game out on that beast of GPU. Also, if any of you guys currently running 4080 Super, can you just share some experiences and personal stories, I guess, with that GPU? Because I would love to know. I've been running myself in circles trying to justify and settle in on the reason why I want to get the RTX 4090, but the price tag on that card is just insane. And on top of that, if I'm gonna buy that graphics card, I will be forced to basically rebuild everything besides like obviously keeping the motherboard and my CPU, but the power supply will have to be changed. My tower, my case will have to be swapped completely. So there's a lot that's gonna be going for it basically to kind of make that graphics card work in the proper way. Anyways, it's been nice checking up on you guys. I hope everyone is doing well and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.